Straw Hut Media.
No, sorry. It's falling out of my ear. This always happens. I think I have really tiny ear holes.
From Straw Hut Media, this is Brandi Glanville Unfiltered.
Hey, Brandi.
Hi, Ryan. I have a little sore throat, so...
And we're sharing a mic.
And that's scary because... Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I feel like I haven't seen you in person in a while.
You've been traveling.
I know.
You're going to keep the mic?
No, I want to give it to you.
Yeah, I'm really over 2023 right now.
I hate it.
I hate it. I hate you, but it's got to get better. It can't get worse. Well, that's not true. Yeah, fucking Jesus. So today we have Kate Casey on, and she's like a big podcaster.
Yeah. So your social media lady told me about Kate.
I did Kate's podcast probably like a year ago.
Okay, so you knew her.
Yeah.
You guys have met before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, like only virtually. I don't think I've met her in person. Maybe I have. I don't think so though. But she literally watches every reality show, and I'm excited to talk to her because she has a lot of different takes, and she talks to a lot of producers and the people behind the shows. So I want to see like how my opinion differs from what she's been told. I'm gonna let her know the truth.
Whoa. Okay. Let's
bring her on. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to Brandi Glanville Unfiltered. I'm here with Kate Casey. She's got one of the most popular reality podcasts on podcasts, right? Like on everywhere you find your podcasts. I know that Tamra and Teddy like to claim they have the #1 reality podcast, but I think that you might have been there first.
I mean, I've had a show longer. I definitely have had a show longer. I don't know. I cover reality shows and documentaries. I feel like I think that it's hard because it's a weird space, and I cover so much that sometimes people don't think of me as reality TV. Like I get forgotten about.
I don't think so. I don't think but I watch all the same shit you watch because I was looking like the plane that disappeared and like love that. Like, all right, now I'm really into 90 Day Fiance. It's really good. And this is like real. I don't know. I'm like kind of getting away from the housewives because I'm sick of seeing people scream at each other. I'm just kind of over it.
You know, it's so funny. When I interviewed the creator of 90 Day Fiance, he told me, we really think of this as a romance show. They thought of it just like The Bachelor. I just thought that was so hilarious. I like to talk to people who make the shows because I'm really interested in the concept and how things are kind of developed and how they cast people. I think I'm different too because I always am interested in someone's personal story.
Yeah.
Like, I think people get too caught up in like the chaos around it, but I'm always like, who is that person? How did they get here? What are their life circumstances? What is the way they look at the world? And then how do those people intersect with one another? And I think that a lot of shows kind of focus on the kind of like the petty things, but I'm looking at like a cultural anthropologist, like it's like a personality study.
Yeah. And it's funny because the fact that for 90 Day Fiance, to think that it would turn out to be like an actual like love story when all of these people, they're just trying to get visas. Like you see it from a mile away, or they're going into these different cultures where they think that they're going to be like that. There's just
accepted.
And it's like, come on. But that's what makes it interesting. But the fact that the creator thought it was really going to be a love story is highly funny.
So funny.
That's not at all what it is. It's like everything but love. That's what it should be called. But the fact that they really do get engaged and married is shocking.
It is shocking. But then I also wonder, and maybe you could speak to this too, that when people go through a unique experience like a reality show, there's so few people in the world that can kind of understand that maybe there's an element of being on that show together that bonds them. Maybe.
Their fame hunger?
Maybe.
They do like they start to kind of like the cameras, you can tell. And then it's like they're feeling a little bit like missing the cameras. We might as well have a reunion. Let's get back together. Where are the cameras? Let's get the cameras up. I feel like everything we wanted it to be, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
But I'm still watching all the Bravo shows, even though everyone just screams and yells.
Yeah.
On the housewife shows, that is. Did you watch the Ultimate Girls Trip this last season?
I did. I really watch everything. I really do.
So do I.
And I can, by the way, tell you lots of great stuff to watch. I watched this one. I thought it was a little disjointed. I like when they pull back the layer and I can see the fourth wall stuff. Like, what is your life like as a housewife on camera and off camera? What is the other part to having this job? The social media part, who you choose in your orbit, if you feel betrayed, and then the issues with one another, like how do they connect? I like all that stuff, but I felt like this season, everyone seemed out for each other. There was like, it was lacking some humanity. And I always want some humanity.
Also, there was no real beef. They're like almost to the point where like, oh, the tequila bottle, really? Is that our storyline?
By the way, do you think that the tequila company gave her that and she felt under pressure to talk about it?
No, because I know that tequila company, she just wanted to have it to drink it. There's no, even if they gave it to her, it's not that expensive of a bottle. Like you could get it for like $120.
That's why I thought keeps talking about it so much. Maybe she made some sort of deal with them.
Endorsement. But they specifically on these girls trips, you have to get everything that you're bringing like signed off on. And they reach out to the companies to make sure no one's making extra money.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Unless it's like your own, like Jill Zarin brought everything that she has ever made, but it's her company. So it wasn't like she had an endorsement deal with someone besides herself. So, it was, they definitely were checking because I brought something and I just wanted, if it made air, I was going to get money. And I'm like, oh, no. We're not showing
That's so
that.
wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to see who gets along and who doesn't. Because in my mind, I think, okay, those two are going to have some commonality. And when that doesn't happen, I kind of like to see that too.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like putting different people together that you would never normally put together, which I think is kind of what Housewives is a little bit like originally was. But then now, like from different franchises, I just feel like because it's a 7-day shoot, there's so much pressure to perform that you become like such a heightened version of yourself that you're doing things maybe out of character. Or I'm not talking about myself because I was wasted and I was being myself, just extra wasted and being Brandi. But I'm saying like some of these people, I felt like, why are you asking this question when you don't watch, about Leah's grandma, when you don't watch a show and you don't really care and no one, unless you're truly interested. But it seemed very produced this time to me, where it's like the last one that I did, like not this last one, but the first one I did it flowed. It was so authentic. Like we had our beefs. We didn't get along. Like some of us.
So funny.
Debbie Downer. I wanted to murder her. But it was like so authentic. So I was like, this is what Housewives used to be. This is what it needs to get back to. But then it didn't seem to translate to this last group to me.
Okay, I also wondered, it almost felt like they must be having meetings with Giselle every morning and going over like what they're supposed to be doing. And it seems so obvious. Did that happen on your season when you were at the Berkshires?
No.
Yeah, that's interesting too.
They would be like, okay, you have something at 4 or 5 and 6. You know what I'm saying? Like, and each person has an event, but it wasn't like, okay, they would come to one of us and say, I felt like they were like almost using Giselle as a producer.
I know. I felt like that too.
Right? Like she was really driving the machine, which was so obvious. And she annoys the fuck out of me. And it was just like hard to watch. Like it was just seemed so, if no one's going to say it, Giselle will say it, even if she doesn't care about the answer. I didn't love it this last one, but
I actually I want to walk away feeling like people became friends. I felt like in the Berkshires that Ava and Phaedra were your friends for the rest of your life. Like I want to see that's the humanity I want to see.
Right.
Because when this whole space is really hard too, because it's ultimately, they're shows about women, how we're complicated women and our complicated friendships and relationships. And I get frustrated a lot when they're minimized.
Yeah.
So I liked that show because you all come from different walks of life. You have this unique experience that bonds you, but you also had personal moments with one another that I think I think women want to see that, because that's real life. You're going to go on a trip with a bunch of women, and there's going to be like a few people that you have this like really deep conversation with, and you remain friends.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was our big takeaway is when we left, we were all friends, and we're still all in our group chat together from like this. I have 2 different ones. I have this one from last time and the first one, but we're all like, yeah, we had our conflict, not all of us, but it was real. And we're like, okay, you know what? We're still going to have fun. We're on vacation. We're not going to make it all complete conflict, because that's just not real. It's not authentic. And they're fun girls. But like, listen, you go in with beef, you squash it, and you have fun. And I think that that's what we did. And I do want to see shows where we bring each other up. I mean, I think women get a bad rap as it is for being competitive with one another and tearing each other down. And some of these shows don't help it. Because you feel like you're pitted against someone else because they're richer or they're prettier or they're younger. And it's like, it shouldn't feel that way. You should be like, oh, I want to learn from you. I'm so happy for all of my friends when something good happens to them. Like, that's how it should be, but unfortunately that's not what we see, but it does happen. But a lot of people don't want to watch that. Like it's,
well,
it's
do you feel like the meme culture shifted the way that the audience watched The Real Housewives? Their experience shifted, because I believe that to be true. I felt like the meme culture made it far less enjoyable because it was much more pitting one another against each other. And then I've had housewives privately say to me, I feel like I have to be the character that the audience wants in order for me to stay on this show, which really upsets me, because then the whole point of the show, I'm still living the era where I loved like Vicky showing up at her daughter's or her son's college, because that is like something that a mom would do.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But then it's like this whole shift where now we're caricatures. I've heard people say in like, remember Clubhouse, that app?
No, I'm the worst. I don't do apps. You want to see my phone? This is like my cracked phone. We don't do technology at my house. I don't.
There was this audio app, and you could be in these rooms, and I would listen in on conversations, and a lot of the conversations about housewives, it was like, well, I like this person because they're the fantasy version of what I would have wanted my mother to be.
Wow.
And I'm like,
interesting.
That's the weird shift. In the beginning, I feel like it was like, I want to see women I know in my neighborhood, women I'm friends with. And now it's almost like this person on a shelf that no one can conceivably be, this fantasy version. No one is that version.
No,
women are we're so layered, and we have constant struggles. And if you're filming a woman over a period of time, you're going to see ebbs and flows. They're not always going to be on. They're not always going to be reading somebody. So I think I get frustrated in the way that Housewives is changing because of it.
And I agree with you 100%. And I don't necessarily think it's producers or production. I think it's the women, because
I think it's the culture too. Yeah. The women in the culture. Yeah.
Because we sit and we watch, and like, as a viewer that used to be a housewife, it was very authentic when I was on. But I think these housewives are doing what they think they're supposed to be doing.
I agree.
To be a housewife. And it's turned into this recipe rather than any kind of originality, where we go, we throw wine, we yell, we pick someone to get in a fight with, even if we have no problem with them. And it's almost like picking teams and taking sides. I kind of likened it to Big Brother, because it was like, Housewives last year was like Lisa Rinna and Erica Jane, like Kyle and Dorit. And, Sutton and Garcelle. Like everyone had their final two, and it was like, who can we take down? And it was just like, I'm like, if I want to watch Big Brother, I'll watch Big Brother.
I agree. But, I also watch, like when people ask me about Beverly Hills, I always say I'm watching because ultimately every Real Housewives is the story of that city and how it works. Beverly Hills is a company town, much like DC or New York is in finance. So for you, when you started, I'm like, this is interesting. Now I'm going to hear the story of a housewife of a soap actor. Like, what is that world like? Because they're not necessarily movie stars and they're a little bit lower than like the big time TV stars. Like, what is that world like? In the same way, Sutton, I'm like, does she feel like an outsider because she's the ex-wife of somebody who was in finance? Do they accept her in movie circles because she's like an outsider? Because that's an industry where like everyone's looking past your shoulder to see like who's behind you, who's
bigger,
more
better
important.
Deal. Right.
And then Kyle is this child actor whose husband is in real estate. Is she accepted in certain circles? And then Kim, how does she accepted because she had all this fame earlier in her life, but it's in a town where you're only as good as your last project. So all those little nuances to me make that show so different than the others. And I get disappointed when they don't explore that more.
And it is frustrating because a lot of times, especially in this town, women, are not your age, I'm older than you, but like middle-aged women are thought of as being expired. So Housewives is this thing that is giving us this platform and it's giving us this new life. And I feel like what some of the people are doing with it is dragging women down. It's like, wait, maybe we should be expired because why are we acting like children when we've already, we've come this far? I want to watch and know what the other side of divorce is, why you've been single still for 10 years, or, what have you learned, raising your kids? How is that in the public eye? Because that is really hard for a lot of these kids. People I know that, with Rinna's kids modeling, now my son's modeling, it's hard to have a mom where people are.
And that's interesting to me. Yeah. Like, what is that like when you have been famous and then your kids have been in the public eye, but how do they navigate beginning their career, especially on the heels of people calling them Nepo babies?
Yeah.
Like, what is it actually like when they try to build their own careers?
No, I think that I always say to Mason, I said, you're lucky to have your foot in the door. No one's did that for me, but you have to do this on your own merits. You have to do the hard work. They're lucky. But, just because your dad owns a real estate company, Farrah still went to college. She got her, she's the number one seller there. She got her degree. She still did the work. No one just handed her, real estate license and said, was it a little bit easier for her? Maybe, but she took that and she ran with it. And now she's like the number one agent at the agency. You know what I mean? It's not like she was just like, it fell in my lap and I'll do it on occasion. So,
but if it did, it's okay as long as you just acknowledge it. I think that's what people get annoyed with when it's like someone who just discounts that they got it's like, come on. But if you own it, then the conversation's over.
Yeah. There's still work to be done. You know what I'm saying? You can't do a job for somebody. I can, but I can't model for Mason.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a girl.
So what is it like to have two boys one is out of high school?
One is in college and one is in junior high school.
Junior. So how are you feeling about the second one eventually leaving?
I will cry right now if we talk about it.
I can't. No, I know. That's another thing. I'm like, why are we talking about things like that?
Right. I know. I saw I saw your kids on your Instagram. They're so cute, by the way. But it's like, I've already lost my kids half of their lives, right? Because of my divorce. So I missed out on half of their lives. So the fact, I feel like when my baby who's 16 leaves, I'm going to be in a straitjacket. I'm going to cry right now. I can't handle this. But
then I talked to somebody yesterday and they said the first semester is really hard. And then you actually start to get used to your own space. But then don't you think you'll be like a great grandmother?
fuck off. Okay.
No, I mean, not now, but like eventually, because
hopefully. I mean, well, that's the whole point.
by the way, that's a great point that no one is bringing up. Like, okay, so why isn't anybody who's divorced on the Housewives talking about that? What you just said is so poignant. I've lost half their life already.
I have. And
that is a big thing. That's a great point to make.
That's the one thing I will never forgive. I forgive Eddie for all of the cheating, all of the lying, everything. We are friends. You know, I love him as the father of my children, but I will never forgive him for taking my kids away from me half of their life. Because that's, it is, you know, it's 50-50 custody. And I feel like every time I see them each week when they come back, they've grown a foot. And I'm like, wait, what'd you do? Tell me what, you know, I feel like I'm just catching up still because I miss so much. And so then when my baby leaves, I don't know what I'm going to do.
You'll find something. You'll find something that fills that space. You will.
I'll get 18 dogs and like 4 cats.
Well, I also feel like you're, and Kate Chastain has said this about you, that you're actually like a big nurturer. Like before we started recording, you were telling me about a friend who's quite ill. I feel like you probably have a lot of people in your life that you're already taking care of. So that will probably expand.
Well, it gives me purpose. I love doing it. Honestly, like I feel like when I met Kate, I felt like the mom of that show. I'm like, oh, she's crying. I have to go. Not Kate wasn't crying, but like one of the little girls was crying. And I'm like, this is just a TV show. This is not I do feel like it does give me purpose. And when I don't have purpose, we all know I find trouble. And that's what scares me. I'm afraid of myself. But back to watching reality TV. I don't know. We got off. I don't know how we got off.
I'm the worst.
This always happens. I'm like, how do we end up talking about sex? Or are we supposed to be talking about like religion? But yeah. So what are your thoughts on the scandalous situation?
I think pageant contestants are fascinating people.
Oh yeah.
I think she has the mind. Raquel is a pageant girl, and I think she'll do anything to win. And I think she got on the show and faked a relationship with James to be on this television show. I think she faked a friendship with Ariana to get prime positioning on the show. And I think what she wanted was Tom Sandoval, and it didn't matter what was in her way. I think people discount the mind of a pageant contestant.
Yes, they're very clever, very smart girls, and they get what they want. And the ambition that they have is frightening. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying all of them, but most of the ones I know scare me. I just don't know if I believe all of this wasn't, like, I feel like some of it might have been planned.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I'm going to interview Alex Baskin on Friday, so I will hopefully get some answers.
He's not going to tell you. He's the producer of the show. Alex is going to be like, no, I said that to Alex already. And he's like, no. He's like, we were caught off guard. I'm like, well, I'm saying that maybe somebody planned it that wasn't you, a producer. I mean, I'm talking about.
I think they all talk and they probably are like, something weird is happening. But I also know them well enough that they're like, if we stay out of the way and let this unfold, this is going to be much better than if we're setting up conversations. That's my experience talking to so many filmmakers, is that you have to be really good at just standing back and let it unfold. That's why sometimes I think it's hard for talent to become directors and producers, because they're so used to being part of it. But you really have to know how to like stand back and let the story unfold.
But do you not feel, I feel like maybe a little bit of it was that a lot of the people were saying Vanderpump Rules wasn't going to come back because it had been so long since it's been on the air. And so maybe some of these kids got together, and not that their kids are all like 47 now. Not really 47, but you know what I mean. Right. They're not children anymore.
I think one of their friends are the ones that leaked the story to TMZ. I think the talent has a lot of more culpability than people would probably expect. I think they were frantic, like the show's not going to come back. I remember interviewing Lala, and it was like 2 days before they started filming the season. And she had just had a baby. So I don't know, is her daughter like over a year old now? So That's a long period of time. Maybe they all started to get frantic. Like, this is our only
That's what I'm saying. So
income.
do we then out everything that that we've kept secret, or do we come up with a plan? I'm not saying everyone's in on it, and I'm not saying I'm right. I know when I talked to Alex Baskin, he was like, we're cameras are going back up on Vanderpump Rules because it was all over TMZ. And he's like, we have to get the cameras back up because this is happening after we wrapped. So they put them back up, and now we're getting the full story, which, I wonder, with the desperation for not having a paycheck for a year and a half, which I think it was down for 2 years.
That's true.
You have to think about, okay, what can we do to save our asses?
But you bring up a good point, because I wonder about that a lot. Sometimes I've really interviewed everybody you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a sense of delusion that a lot of them have, like, I'm going to be a TV star for the rest of my life. Like, they get that little whiff of fame, and they're like, I'm going to get a spinoff. I'm going to be a star. I'm going to be on the red carpets for the rest of time. What happens? What do you think happens behind the scenes that that tips the scale where they go, oh my God, I am expendable?
Well, I think they get fired. Like, Jax used to always say, this is my show. It's my show. He would go and watch What Happens Live and like, they're lucky it's my show. When your ego gets too bloated, and I do like that. I do like Jax. I'm not saying I don't. And I like that he has Brittany. Thank God for that. Because she seems lovely. But they take you down a notch. I mean, look at Lisa Vanderpump. Yeah. Like, when you start thinking it's your show and you can't be replaced, they will replace you, because we're all replaceable. And this is not going to go on forever. It is not a career. I mean, I've kind of been working for 12 years. It might be over now. Who knows? But
you've been smart, because you go to different networks. I think you had the same kind of strategy. I don't know who was working with you at the time, but it's similar to, like, Omarosa is the only person I can kind of think of right now. Or no, but her strategy was like to go to different networks, because I think a lot make the mistake of just investing in one network. Like, I'm the face of that network, when they're so fickle. You really have to cultivate relationships with other networks.
And I think that, I mean, a lot of time you don't get to strategize. It's like, if someone sees you and they think you're good TV, they offer you the job, because otherwise everyone would be on every network. It's just, I do think that when you're on these shows and you get too big for your britches, they take you down. And I do think they'll have Jax and Brittany back now that this affair has saved the show. But everyone's all pissed off because I said, it just seems like a lot of hypocrisy, because everyone on that show has cheated. There's not one person that hasn't cheated. So why on earth is this that big of a deal?
Yeah, it's interesting too, because I even caught myself sometimes thinking, how did you not notice that, like, they're wearing matching clothing and jewelry? Like, how? But then my one friend goes, but they're all so selfish. And when you're so selfish, you don't notice things around you. Like, that's crazy.
When I was at BravoCon, I did a panel with both of the Toms, and Raquel was there. And she was sitting front row, high as a kite, by the way, looking or acting high as a kite.
She seemed off.
She seemed high, but I mean, I didn't see her doing anything.
Right,
She just,
of course.
But it was just Tom and Tom. And when was that? That was last November.
October. That was something.
Yeah, it was like over a year ago. So, I mean, she did seem like she was there for one of them.
Yeah, well, that would have been right into the thick of the beginning of their affair, right? Because it started in August.
It seems like Tom Sandoval's, Tom Schwartz is covering. I don't think that he and Raquel ever had a real thing.
No.
Even though he's the cutest one on the show, but
he is. Isn't he so cute?
Yeah, he's so cute,
and he's just really nice.
And he's 40. When he told me it was his birthday during BravoCon, he's like, "It's my birthday today. I turned 40." I'm like, "You guys are 40." I'm like, "Oh my God!" Like, they've been on TV for a long time, but also I think that 2-year break kind of lit a little fire under them. Like, somebody get married, somebody pop out a kid, somebody have an affair. Do it all, because we all need our jobs back. Because they all went and bought these huge houses,
right?
And like, how the fuck? I mean, I'm still renting. Like, what the fuck are they getting paid?
Yeah. Do you think they make more in endorsement deals than housewives?
No. I mean, I think it would depend on the person. I think individual, like I know what some of the housewives make. And I don't know, like I don't know what their deals are, but I can't think of one off the top of my head. Whereas like with, the housewives, you think of skinny girl, even though we don't like that skinny girl. I don't. But you can think of actual products, or you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean,
okay,
that's a great question.
Here's another question I have.
Okay.
As a housewife, does it get under your skin? Because you just said you know what other housewives make. Is there something going on inside the show when you know what other people are making? And like, are sometimes the fights that are happening having to do with how much each person makes, how much access they get to the network, who gets invited to watch what happens live?
Of course.
How much of that impedes in the filming? Like a lot?
Well, I think, honestly, when I was filming, we all thought Lisa Vanderpump got special treatment. Like,
yeah,
because she would tell us she was, so we would believe her because she's a very good manipulator. She's like,
and what a horrible thing to do.
I know, but like we all believed it. So Andy had to go and call all of us and reassure us that it wasn't her show. She wasn't a producer on it. She doesn't get the final edit. But we all were in our heads about it. Like, oh, we better go along with what she's saying and doing. Right. Or, she's like, you want to keep your job, stick with me. She literally said that to me. And I'm like, I need to keep this job. Like, I don't know, so there are people that believe like certain people get special treatment, and that does kind of, there's an underlying queen bee kind of situation. So you'll see everyone kissing one person's ass, like she'll never be in the fire. And you're like, huh. And, they all say it's favored nations and everyone makes the same. That is not true. Alex can tell you that. I mean, like, I feel like I already told Howard Stern that what everyone made and got in a lot of trouble. But now it's different. They have changed up their pay scheduling because a lot of people were getting these giant salaries and not showing up. They were going on vacation and, we're filming and it's like, we have to be there every day. So now most of the shows are pay for play. So in order to get your check, it's per day and it's when you show up to film.
That's smart.
If you're going on vacation with your kids, so no one feels like they're getting this special treatment and is not filming half the season and then just comes in and gets the big fat paycheck.
Okay,
they are changing a lot of it.
Let's go through each city and you tell me who you think is the one who may or may not get preferential treatment. So like for New Jersey.
Ooh. Okay, and by the way, I know nothing.
Yeah, I'm just, as a housewife,
I know nothing.
But your experience, like, would you say, like, if you're on New Jersey, you're like, I have to be friends with Teresa because that's the thread line. Like, that's my best shot at staying on the show.
I think the new girls coming in think that 100%. They either are going to go Team Melissa or Team Teresa. They're going to pick one and they're going to ride or die. That's it. And
yeah, okay,
yeah, for sure. And she went to jail. I would give her special treatment.
I know.
I like Teresa.
What about Atlanta?
I think that probably Candy.
Candy, yeah.
I mean, because she's been on for so long. She makes the most money. She's probably the most famous, in both the music world, and she's not going anywhere. We love Candy. You know what I mean? Like, and she kind of grounds the show.
I don't think she needs the show anymore. I feel, in my mind,
she doesn't. But it's like it's there.
She's so I feel like she could do even more if she weren't with the show. Like she could make movies and do other things. I don't know.
Yeah, I think she's one of those people that has to be busy at all times because I have had a conversation with her before she went to do Big Brother. And because Andy asked me to talk to her and try to talk her out of it because she was too busy. You have little kids, you have all this. And I literally tried to talk Candy out of doing it, but she wanted to what's the word?
Diversify.
Yeah, she wanted to prove to herself that she could go on and she could win, and she almost won.
Yeah, she did really well. I love that season. Yeah. That was great. Yeah, that was really good.
It's like, and she doesn't drink, and I think like what drives her is just staying busy, staying on top, making the money, and I respect the shit out of that.
Yeah,
but I do agree with you. She doesn't probably need the show anymore, or the drama, because honestly, with the show comes a lot of stress, and when you're doing Broadway and music, and she's
Mhm.
doing other shows as well. You don't need even, it is a hard show to do. Like, it is so stressful. Oh,
Do you feel like when you get off, like when you walk away from filming, is there one person in your life that you can talk to about what happened and you trust them implicitly that they will not share it with anybody? They're not leaking it to an account, that you can just go,
Yeah.
this is just what happened today, and I'm just trying to like unpack it and process it.
well, luckily, you know, I have Ryan. I trust him. I've told him many things. He could have, my life could have been canceled a long time ago. I know he's not going to be calling Dumois or anything. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's great because I have Phaedra and Eva now, and we talk all of the time.
Yeah.
And we're all going through same shit. So they understand it.
Mhm.
And I know, like, they have my back, I have their back. And that doesn't happen in the housewives world very often.
Yeah.
So that's really nice, because I would always be very careful of what I text any housewife, what I say to any housewife. It's almost like, you know, don't trust any housewives. Like, that was always kind of my motto.
Yeah.
And if you have one good friend when you walk away from a TV show, then you've won, because
Wow.
a lot of these people are not genuine good people. They just want, you know, if second that anyone goes after you, they'll join. All right. Oh, you were taking Brandi down this season? Let's go after her. Or we're taking,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying? So it's almost like a gang, a pack mentality. Like, one person has to go down. We have to ruin one life this season. And I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see real shit. I want to see these women going through menopause, kids leaving, struggles,
agree.
you know, marriage. There's so much real life that should be talked about. That gets like swept under the rug because we're too busy fighting over wine.
Do they give you somebody that you can talk to, like a quasi-therapist that you could just talk it out with?
On the game shows that I've done, the Celeb Big Brother, yes.
Yeah.
In both the UK and here. And then the latest one, Traders, yes.
Oh, good.
Because you need to have that outlet, and you're sequestered from the other people when you're not filming. So, and it can make you stir crazy. And, you know, they're breeding paranoia on Big Brother because they want you to think people are talking about you. So you do go a little crazy. So it's really important to have that person around, but not on Housewives, because really you can get up and leave anytime you want. You're not like stuck on an island or in a house with these people 24/7. But they are changing how Housewives is being made. I'm sure you've heard. It's interesting. And a lot of, they're changing like almost the full scope of reality television. They're adding HR, but they're having issues with it because they're only adding it to protect themselves and not to protect us as talent. If that makes sense.
Well, what do you think about the recent Love is Blind contestants coming forward and trying to create a union for reality stars?
Well, there should be, honestly, because after what I just went through, and I can't really say much about it, you don't get to have HR if you're not going to protect, not going to, like, you're going to have me work 18 hours in one day and you're going to give me alcohol and pot all day long. And then you're going to say, oh, you did something wrong. Really? Because you should then be monitoring all of our alcohol intake. We shouldn't be working more than a certain amount of hours. You can't just have one without the other. And I think it's gonna change, like, reality TV for forever. I mean, who wants to watch us sitting around clutching our pearls? And when one person says, you know what, I didn't like yesterday, I'm deciding it made me feel bad. And then there has to be stop production. Let's investigate. You know, it's like, you're not going to get the unhinged reality TV that we all used to love. You know, I mean, I don't want to see everyone fighting all of the time, but I still want to be, I want to see like the deep, dark secrets of the rich. You know, I want to see the dirty side of the rich people that we all think are so perfect. And then we know they're insecure about what their husband's getting in his DMs. And, you know, because that's just a natural thing to say that, oh, we're just perfect and this is great. It's not true. You know what I mean? So I think that we're going to see a big shift. And it started this year. And I know that there's a big article coming out in a huge magazine about this. You guys will all know very soon. I think everyone knows at this point, so I'm not going to say it though, but just how reality talent is actually treated.
Would you communicate with Nick from Love is Blind and the other Jeremy?
I don't think so. I mean, right now I have to look out for me.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
And I can't help anyone else until I can help myself.
Yeah.
And I have to wait for this all to air so that people can see the truth. And I have to be okay. I'm not okay right now. So
what is that like living in limbo? Because you have to wait. You filmed it, so that's the first layer. The second layer is you have to watch it play back. And the third layer is you have to cope with how people...
The second layer is I have to wait until it airs 5 months.
Okay, so the third layer is it airs. The fourth layer is you have to cope with how people perceive what they...
Whatever it is, however they edit it, whatever it, like I said, like, there's her side, there's my side, there's what actually happened, which is on film. We don't really know. But when these leaks are coming out, and then a lot of podcasts are taking it and running with it as if it was true. Like, I will say,
I agree with you.
Bethany did this. Like, she went after me like crazy when she's not seen the footage. She wasn't there. She doesn't know what happened. And so did like the Kelly and her husband. Like, they went after me. They have not, we don't know what is true. You haven't seen it.
I've never commented on it because I don't think it's fair when you have no context. You don't.
Right. It's like you're already vilifying me. I'm already guilty. And yet, because number one, they said don't talk about it. So I didn't. And me being quiet made me look guilty. So I finally lost my mind and went against my bosses at Bravo and went on Twitter and said, this is bullshit. I'm being set up. I'm not guilty. I have my side. She has her side. We'll see what happened. It was a long fucking day. And, they're not happy with me that I did that. But like, when this other side is out there and people are picking it up like it's God's spoken truth, it's so frustrating because then you're already guilty. Then you have to wait. So you're guilty and not working, waiting and not working. Then it comes out. You hope it goes your way. And then I don't think it's going to be, I was just being me.
And what about then there's like another Real Housewives that airs. Either it's a franchise or a Ultimate Girls Trip. And then the audience quickly moves on. But you're still coping with months and months and months of,
and I was just saying this to Ryan, like, kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place because it does me no good to go. I do think that if they're going to have HR, that there needs to be other things put into place. Absolutely. But I've been very blessed by working with Bravo and everyone that I've worked with. And this is the first time anything negative's happened. And I mean, like, for me, anything that is negative's happened, like that I feel could be unrecoverable. But if you look at all of the shows, like people throwing glasses, punching people in the face on none of that shit can happen anymore. We have HR. Like, you won't work again. And if someone wants to call the police, go ahead. It's just.
But it seems very complex because there's the concern that the shows will forever be altered, but also it sounds like what you're saying as a reality TV person is that you have felt at times completely unsupported, and it has caused a lot of distress. So, I think at some point the audience has to take a look at how we look at shows, because it's sort of unfair that the networks and the producers are under constant pressure to create great programming. The talent is under great pressure to create great entertainment. But there in the middle is the audience. And it goes back to what we originally said about the meme culture and the toxicity and creating a culture that disallows women to live authentically because they have to be characters to entertain you at the cost of their own mental health. So perhaps this is a time where we as an audience, I take responsibility as somebody in the media too. I always take my job responsibly. How do we look at these stories? How do we give people empathy? But I think the other layer is the audience needs to think about how they respond, how they're going on social media, how they're ripping someone's apart. And I've seen this where somebody, I mean, I'm just a podcaster. I'm not even on a show, but if somebody comments, like negatively, I'll go to their Instagram and then I'll comment on one of their pictures and say, how would you feel if I commented on this picture in a negative tone? And then they always apologize. It's not until someone sees it on theirs right. There's too many people. Right.
But also I think that the audience, like you said, they have to take responsibility. They cannot continue to go and spew hate and say, this person should be fired. This person should be never work. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're talking about someone who's literally just there to entertain you. And then there's the other side of the coin where if we're going to be getting in trouble for the way we act, then the producers can't be asking us to act a certain way. Like you have to police the producers just as much as you have to police the talent. And the audience has to take some responsibility. So it's going to be a whole new world that we're living in. And I hope the audience does take responsibility. I mean, I think it's easy to sit back with the anonymity of being behind a screen. And, I dare people to show your face, tell us who you are, and then have that opinion. I dare you.
Being a reality TV participant sounds like taking a bath in the middle of Times Square.
That'd be fun. I'm kidding. But it can be so fun and amazing. Like I've met people like Kate Chastain, who I fucking adore.
Yeah.
I met I at least one, like Phaedra and Eva, like, are you joking? We talk every day. Like Phaedra, I was in the fetal position on my fucking couch, not answering one call because I've never been fired before, except for from Housewives, but everyone gets fired. And again, that was, I think when we were talking about my agent was blowing me up going, they can't do this show without you. I started to feel like they need me. You know what I mean? I was getting too big for my britches. And it's like, when you start to feel that way, you're replaceable. But I think that we just, I don't know, when I went back to that, my brain is all jumping around because I need to take a Xanax. I have so much happening in my brain right now.
I think ultimately you may have been on the cusp of a completely different way of that unscripted television is filmed, is produced, and is watched.
Oh, 1,000,000%. And Alex Baskin and I even talked about this.
Yeah. Doesn't that feel like par for the course? Like if you were to look at your life, you're almost like you're a disruptor.
That's what I was like, if someone's going to take reality TV down, it might as well be you, Brandi. I'm like, I don't want to take it down.
I don't think you're taking it down. I think it's only highlighting the changes that maybe need to be made.
Yeah. And I think you can't have certain changes without other changes.
Yeah.
And if it has to be because of something that happened with me, then that's it. I was actually, yesterday, I went on a date randomly, which is...
Oh, good.
I've been trying to get my mind off my friend who's ill. And I went on a date, and I don't put my last name on the dating apps, but straight guys don't know who I am anyway. And this poor kid, I mean, he was so sweet. I mean, he was very young. Like his mom was 9 years older than me. Because I don't put my age on there either. But he was like, we were having like wine tasting and we were laughing and talking. And he's like, do you know much about wine? I'm like, yeah, I actually had a Chardonnay for a little while. He's like, you had a Chardonnay? And then he was telling me how he had a journalism degree. I'm like, yeah, I wrote a couple books. Then you realize, like, he's like, your life sounds insane.
Yeah.
And it just seems so averagely normal to me.
Right.
And I didn't say it in like a brag way. It was just like, I'm like, I went to Europe, not to college, like, you know, and then I go, but I did write some books. I mean, it's not like I'm completely dumb. And it was just like, when you say this shit out loud, it is like, wow, my life is crazy TV. I mean, I see why, I see the draw there, but like, I prefer to do things more like, well, the girls trip was so fun because I got to, you know, have a few new best friends. Like, honestly, like I'm friends with all of them, even Vicky. Vicky's like, hang in there, baby. And like her boyfriend's calling me from the hospital. I'm like, Vicky loves a hospital visit. She's going to be fine. I'm like, you know, where I never thought in a million years that we'd get along. But that's
the cool thing is when that happens.
Right. And I think that's what girls trip I thought was going to be for the one, like the ex-wives ones, because we've all had that loss in our life, because when you have cameras in your house every day, you get used to that. And that's probably why Candy doesn't want to let go, because these people are part of your family.
That
and you're
makes sense
so
to
used
me.
to something. Like, you're even grabbing your microphone when you don't have one on.
Yeah.
Like, you're just out. I'm like, ugh.
You have like phantom pregnancy kicks. You have phantom microphone touches.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it does become your life, and maybe you're comfortable in that. And maybe you need that drive, maybe she has to be busy 24/7. I don't, and I don't know where I was going with this, but I did make out with him, and he was a good kisser, but I do have a sore throat today.
You should be getting out there. That's good.
And he had a Porsche. Like, he picked me up in a Porsche. Like, I'm like, okay. I said I wouldn't talk about him on here, so I'm gonna.
Well, we don't know his name or where he lives or what he does, so it's fine.
Well, he owns his own house too. Like, most guys these days have roommates. So I was like,
yeah, I like had it together.
This. I'm kidding. I'm not getting married, but it was a funny, like, just a fun little escape of a day when I realized, when I said shit out loud, how crazy and it sounded and like how my life, even though to me it seems boring as fuck and normal, like to someone else, like, did you ever go to like Sonoma? I'm like, yeah, I mean, I had a Chardonnay.
That's really funny. Yeah.
It is crazy. And so what it becomes your normal to other people is enough to be crazy, and you don't have to go and fight with people. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just went off on like a date situation.
I've been doing episodes every Saturday where I tell people more about my life, because I feel like I always interview people and then I tell them about my life and they're like, wait, what?
Yeah, because I go, Ryan, this is going to turn into us interviewing each other because that's what we do.
I know, it's hard for me to turn it off. But yeah, I think that also with age, we're much more interesting people than 25-year-olds.
Yes, that's what he's like. Oh my God. I didn't tell him how old he was when he said how old are your parents? I'm like, I think they're in early 70s. They are early 70s, but I'm like, in yours, 59. I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I was like, I'm going to have some more to drink.
But good for you. Why not?
Yeah.
Have fun.
Whatever. But that was a little shocking for me to hear. But whatever. I was like, okay.
Well, I know this to be true. The things that happen to us do not define us. It's how we react to them, how we deal with them. So whatever happens, it doesn't make who you are. It's how you come back from it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to get Kevin Hart's phone number and ask him how he did it so many times.
I'm sure you could. That's your goal this week. That's your goal this week.
I will get to stop Kevin Hart. I'm in enough trouble. My friends tried to get me to go up to Shawn Mendes' doorbell and ask to borrow sugar. I'm like, we have Postmates, because my friend moved in down the street. I go, do you guys want him to call the cops for me trespassing? Do we not think I'm in enough trouble? Like, I'm not doing it, because normally that would be something I would do.
But somehow I feel like he'd invite you in and you'd be like singing or something. It would be ridiculous.
I don't know.
I always expect the ridiculous with you. There's something that's going to happen.
It does fucking happen. And I'm always looking over my shoulder. I'm like, this is not happening right now. Why is this happening to me? But like, I don't know. I guess because I can handle it.
Yep.
But I'm not getting, right now I'm afraid of the cops. I do love Shawn Mendes. And so do all my gay boyfriends that are his neighbors now.
Well, just have them DM him. I'm sure he'll respond. In fact, I'm sure he will.
Oh my God. I just remembered I DM'd 2 people. I've never DM'd anyone in my life. I did it when I was high the other night. Oh my God. Well, I DM'd Little Dicky.
That's your next book. You should have all the DMs that you did when you were high.
Drinking and DMing?
Yes. And just have them all.
It wasn't like a flirtatious DM, but I was watching Little Dicky and I was like, I love this. I just love him. He's so funny. I love the show. And my kids love it too. So it's like the one show we can watch together. So hopefully he doesn't think my kids are toddlers and I'm like letting them watch his show because I have to look and see what I wrote. Because I said, oh, we love your show. My kids and I watch it together.
They know how old your kids are. It's not like you're Mary Lou down the street. We know who you are.
I wasn't trying to have sex with him. I might have said I think I'm cute still for 50 or something. I don't know what I said. I have to look.
No, I don't. I think people
I should
never
DM. Never DM. Never DM, Brand.
It's not the worst thing. That's the next book.
Oh my God.
You're welcome, America. I just gave you your next book.
Oh my God. People are I'm going to be blocked right and left. They'll be like, this stalker bit.
Who would be excited to get a DM? They'd be thrilled.
I don't think Dickie is going to be excited. I mean, I don't know. I have to see, but let's have to see what I wrote. We'll start with that. But I mean, congratulations. I mean, you've been doing your podcast since 2009. That's
no, almost 7 years. Almost 7 years.
Oh, okay.
I had my fourth child was a year old, and then I had another child after that. Yeah, so 7 years. Yeah,
5. I only saw 2 on your Instagram. I was like 5. Looking y'all up.
They range from almost 14 to 4.
Oh my God, poor you. How do you find time to watch TV?
Well, I get screeners sent to me, so that helps.
Oh, that's good.
But if you want to get shit done, you give it to somebody with a lot of kids. That's true.
You know how to, you just
can
move.
Get done.
You can just go. I mean, because you're doing 25 different things at once at all times. Mm-hmm. But I need to like focus and pay attention because my mind drifts and then I'm outside and I have to keep rewinding my shows.
Yeah.
It's just, but so 5 fucking, your daughter is so cute, by the way. Like the red balloon picture.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks like a model. She's so gorgeous.
Thank you.
Do you have to ask your kids permission to put their pictures up on your Instagram?
No, because they're still kind of little and they don't really seem to care. I'm sure it'll change. No, she let me do it because she was so excited because she got on this really, really difficult team to get on. And so she was really proud of that. But not the older ones. They don't really care. But I post so much about my episodes that I don't do as much about my kids. Who cares about my kids? People don't care about your kids. They just don't care.
Well, I'm not allowed to post my kids. And if I do, I have to ask. And then if I do and someone writes something bad, I go ballistic.
Well, yeah. But you're more public than I am.
I still think like if you have over like 20,000 followers, like it's just like I want to post my children. Don't get me wrong. Like I have to show them the picture and then I have to get approval. And they say no most of the time.
Well, then you go, well.
But you have how many girls do you have?
4 girls, 1 boy.
Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, you are in for it, lady.
I'm already there.
Oh my God.
I know.
I don't know how you do it all, but like screeners would help. You guys can send me screeners. I have week on, week off. Lots of spare time these days.
But also, like, this is my full-time job. This is what I do. Like,
being a mom is your full-time job.
I know, but really, like, they're at school. So this is, what I'm doing when they're at school. Yeah.
I guess it is your free time. It's a lot. People don't know that being a mom is the hardest job ever.
I'm a full-time mom and I'm a full-time podcaster. But
that you must live in your car.
Yes, I do. So many people think podcast is just so easy. I write, produce, book, research my own show, and I've always done that. And
I don't do any of that.
So yeah, it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. People don't realize that these quote unquote celebrities think they're really cool and they like to cancel at the last minute. It does happen quite often, and I think it's very rude. I have myself canceled, but like I had the neurovirus, and you wake up and somebody passed away in your family, like something like it has to be something really, really bad, and I always make it up to them. But I feel like it's only happened a couple of times, but a lot of celebrities like to just forget. It annoys the fuck out of me.
Well, they also have like a team of people around them that are like, you're the greatest person that walked the earth. And I think that causes a disconnect.
Problems. Yeah. It causes them to be assholes is what it causes. Mm-hmm. That's why I just have my Chihuahua and he bites and humps. So that's it.
Not so bad.
It keeps me grounded. Yeah. Well, it was so good to talk to you.
You too. I love seeing you.
you too, babe. You look so pretty. Your house looks so pretty. Give us like 3 good shows that you would recommend that are outside of people's like normal realm.
Oh, sure. Well, I put a list out every Monday of what to watch each week, and you could get that at katecasey.substack.com. But okay, I'll tell you what you have to watch that's coming up. So Hulu's going to have a documentary called Queenmaker, The Making of an It Girl. And that's about the women in New York City who were socialites between 2000 and 2010 who became worldwide celebrities, Tinsley Mortimer and Olivia Palermo. Then you're going to want to watch Mac's docuseries on Bama Rush, Alabama's Rush, the behind the scenes of a whole sorority rush.
Oh, that scares me.
True crime.
Yeah, I love true crime too. Ooh.
Oh, okay. Did you watch Who Killed Robert Wone?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've watched everything.
Oh, perfect. So you're going to watch that. If you haven't watched, I'm sorry, you watched Sins of Our Mother about Lori Vallow. And because of that, you have to just keep up to date on the
is this
trial.
the military one?
No, the woman whose 2 children disappeared and she remarried.
No, I
and then
haven't watched that one.
Okay, that's your homework. Okay, you got to watch Sins of Our Mother because the murder trial is going on right now. So you could watch that and then just keep up to date with all the updates.
Wow. I got to tell Mark that because we're always looking for good. I watched the
Did you
new
ever
Dateline. What?
Did you ever watch Murder on Middle Beach on HBO?
Myrtle Beach?
Murder on Middle Beach.
No, I don't. I mean, I
Okay.
probably did. I'm not good with titles.
You have to watch that one too. That's a doozy. So, but Sins of Our Mother, I think you're going to be obsessed with.
No,
That's
I
good.
saw
That's a
that
good
on your
one.
Instagram. I'm like, did I miss this already? But I looked and I'm like, that is something I have to watch.
One last one you got to watch on Peacock. They have a new docuseries about Menudo and the Menendez brothers.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yeah,
And who names a band Menudo anyway?
I do. Well, last year I interviewed a member of Menudo, and he told me on my show that Jose Menendez, the Menendez brother, who was the RCA contact, had molested members of the band. So I knew that for about a year now, but this one really just kind of spells it all out.
Right. And that's something that's hard for you have to be careful legally saying that and putting that out there.
That's right.
So you can't just, it's like hearsay really. But if they have the proper production company and they're going to do it, I'm going to watch that. I heard about that. I just never liked the name of the band Menudo because I don't like the Mexican type like stew. It's called Menudo. And it's like your stomach intestines of a pig. And my neighbors used to try to make me eat it. I helped them make it.
That's disgusting.
It's gross.
Yeah.
All right,
That's gross.
There we have it. Well, this was a good little talk.
Thank
got me
you.
in a
Yeah.
much better mood, that's for sure.
That's the spirit. All right, good.
Hey.
Thank you a million times for having me.
You said a lot of things.
What did I say?
Well, I just thought it was really interesting. I mean, I'm curious to now listen to her podcast, which I haven't done yet.
Yeah, I didn't say anything that I haven't said before, but I guess it's all into one podcast because we really did just talk about reality television solely.
Well, like I hadn't heard you say publicly about about this whole reality thing changing and this HR thing. So I didn't know that.
I did say it to Teresa. I told her about it when I did her podcast. So I feel maybe I just haven't talked about it on here.
On here, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a crazy situation that's happening, and I'm right smack in the middle. And for people who are picking up these leaked stories that are one-sided and very wrong, to go and report them as truth and then to obliterate me like Bethany did and
not cool
other people that are not worth my time, it's irresponsible. Honestly, it's defamatory, and if I had more money I would probably sue you. There you have it.
Yeah,
all of you. Not my listeners. I'm talking about all the people that are acting like this is God's given truth.
Yeah, right.
Like
pretending
they
to
know
have the answer, pretending to have the answer and when no one, and even you haven't seen anything, None
of us have seen it. We were all there and we all have different takeaways. So,
but you do know that this HR thing is being implemented now. But what you said that was really interesting to me, and I think that it's very truthful, is that they're protecting themselves. So it's like,
Right. So they can't get in trouble.
And that makes sense for the production company, but that means I think that you're right. That we should have a union. There should be a union. We have
to, because
right?
we're going to
no
be villainized no matter what.
Yeah.
In order for them to protect themselves from like being negligent.
Do you start the union?
I'm not ready to do that yet, but I do think that there has to be some, you can't just call people on what they do wrong when you have producers asking them to do these things that are wrong.
Yes, that's
you have to police your producers as well. You have to police the alcohol amount. You have to police. You can't just have HR to protect these big companies.
Yeah, not cool.
It's not, and like and you're going to have to implement other rules, and it's just really going to change reality TV. And I think that there's a lot going on. I know there's drama with like the challenge. There's a lot of HR issues on that. And obviously Love is Blind, which I did not know about. That Casey just told us, or Kate. Casey, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm because I think they're going to have to get a producers union. Like it's not SAG-AFTRA, because a lot of these producers are independent contractors that they hire.
Right.
So they're just trying to make a great show for them, just like we are.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to be protected as well. It's going to be, I have bad breath probably, sorry. But it's going to be a lot of change.
It's so fascinating.
And then you're going to have to figure, we're going to mic the producers and to make sure what they're saying to us.
You should.
When we have to. If we're mic'd and everything's hot and live.
Because yes, they're telling you to do something, and then that should be
asking you to do something that is against the rules. You don't have to necessarily do it, but if they're asking you, they shouldn't be asking that question. They shouldn't be allowed to ask that question. They shouldn't, because that's putting me in harm's way.
Because you want to do right by them.
You want to make a good show. You want them to like you. You want them to hire you again.
Complicated.
It is. There's so many little nuances to it, and it's going to come out in a big way really soon, guys. Yeah. And shit is going to hit the fan. And I'm not talking about just Girls Trip. I'm talking about like every reality show there is on TV has a scandal.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how this goes. But thanks for listening. And I've been crying. That's why I look like this. So if you keep your comments to your fucking self.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Brandi Glanville Unfiltered. Download new episodes every week, and if you haven't already, subscribe. And be sure to leave us a rating and review. And while you're at it, check out some of the other great shows available on Straw Hut Media.